start the development, and I need to have my basic block pattern imported together with the other materials I need. And I've made a folder for that, and I can import it here in under library, and I click the little plus sign, and now I can find my day one development up top, and I open this, and immediately I can find it as the last imported thing in my library. When I double click it, I can see all the items I have in the folder. In Clo 3D, you cannot import just one file. You always have to have it in a folder. So even if it's just one file, you put it in a folder and import it via the little plus sign. And again, if I didn't want it anymore, I could right click, say delete, and it will be scrubbed again. Good, but I want to keep this. So first and foremost, I need to open my basic block pattern, and I do a double click since I don't have anything else on the screen. I will show you later how you can do a right click as well. And here now you see this is a close fitting bodice block. This is a size 38 Nordic sizes, and it's all stitched together. I've got the construction lines that shows me the center of the arm, the width of the bust, and so on. I'm only going, and over here in my 2D window, I have my pattern, and everything I change here will change also in the 3D window. But for right now, I only need to work in pattern construction and development. So I'm going to close the 3D window and open it when I need it. And if I go here by the bottom right, I can see there's the double screen. This is if I only wanted to see the 3D window. And this is if I only want to see the 2D window. If I want to reset the whole thing, there's this little reset button here at the right hand corner, so it takes me right back to the default setting. But as I said, I only want to use the 2D window for now. And also I am going to close the library, and I press this little arrow here, or I could press Y using a shortcut on my keyboard. Okay, so what I want to do now, I want to develop this top into a loose fitting top. I want to extend the shoulders. I want to get rid of all the darts. I want to lower the sleeve hole, and I want to change the sleeve altogether as well. I'm going to do it following the same method that the class that was introduced to this course, had already been taught in the classical way by using paper, pen, scissors, sellotape, cutting and moving and so on, and developing. So there might be other ways, there will be other ways this could be developed as well, but we're going to follow it very closely, because like that we're going to be able to build the bridge from the traditional classic way on paper and into digital, this digital way of making the 3D virtual prototyping, and by that eliminating a lot of waste on paper and also making it faster and more, perhaps even more experimental in time. We'll see. But now we're going very classical, because there are certain rules we just have to abide with, because we do have gravity, we have the grid of the fabric, and it just this we cannot alter with. Okay, the tool I'm going to use the most here is going to be the edit pattern tool. I find it just under the transform pattern tool, but this is the one I'm going to use the most. You can see it also says in bracket, it said that means that I have a shortcut on my keyboard in order to just go in and out of tools. I'm going to click on that. Now this allows me to click on all the segments, the lines, and also the points. And I'm going to start out by, I want to divide this dot I have here. I want to divide it so I have some out here by the sleeve hole and leave something here for now, but I'll show you how it's done. So first I click on one of the dart legs here, and I hold my shift down on my keyboard, and then by doing that I can now have more lines added and being active at the same time. You can see that the lines show up in yellow now, which means they're active, and I can now do something to those lines. So I'm going to place my cursor on one of those active lines. I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to click on rotate dart. Now I get this little black point here, and like wherever I click now is where my dart is going to be placed to, and I want it placed in the sleeve hole. So I click here and I click on, this is the line I want to follow, and now it says select side to rotate. I want to rotate this side here like that, and I might just see if I had, I'll just show you, if I click here and right click, it leaves me the possibility to say how much do I want to close the dart and how much do I want to open the dart. I don't know how much I'm going to close it. That would change from size to size, but I know I want to open it here. I want to open it 2 centimeters. So I'm going to write 2 and say OK to that. And then I need to set the length of the dart here, and I'm just going to click on that, and it opens up for me. Now you can see it opens up for, and also my shoulder now swings up. Next thing I want to do is I want to get rid of the dart down here. I just simply want to delete it, and I can either click each point like that and do a right click and say delete point, and it's gone. Or I can do what I tend to do when I have more points, several points. I simply draw a rectangle and I use backspace and delete. The result is the same. Okay, so now I made a bigger sleeve hole already here by adding the 2 centimeters. Now what I want to do, I want to get rid of the dart I have up here. I don't want a stitch running down here. There's no use for it. And I can actually make use of this extra fabric that's going to be created, or width that's going to be created, if I place it in my waist and then afterwards delete it. So I'm going to do that now by doing just like I did before. I'm going to click on both these dart legs, and I'm going to hold my shift down. Then I'm going to right click, rotate dart, place this little point here at the waist, indicate where I want it, and now it says select the side to rotate, and I'm going to select this side up here, and I'm going to close it totally, and now I just need to indicate the length of the dart just like that, and now it's closed. Next thing, and then what we can see, it swings out here now because we closed it up here. Next thing I want to do, I want to get rid of this point I have up here, because when I need a line I only need 2 points, and I don't need, in this case I don't think there would be any problems having it, but it could be ever so slightly 2 different directions on the line, and I don't want that. And I also down here I want to get rid of this dart again, so I'm going to backspace like that. I'm going to tidy up the waist a little bit later, but for now I'm going to extend my shoulder by 2 centimeters, and I'm right clicking on the shoulder seam, the segment here, and I'm going to click on the change length, and I've got this pop-up box here, and it says 1279 directions start. And now I can see, actually, if I plot anything in here, this is the point where it's going to add to it, and I don't want to add anything to the neck, so I need to go under where it says start as a little drop down menu, and I go to end, and immediately I've got the direction arrow going out towards the shoulder, just as I want. And now I can write 14.79 instead, and we can see also here that it's added, and I say OK to that. Now my shoulder is longer. Next thing I want to do is I want to lower my sleeve hole, and I actually want to lower it by quite a lot because we're making a huge change, so we really see the difference here, and I want to lower it by 7 centimeters. So I could take this point and I could move it down the line here, and I could right click and say 7 centimeters, but I'm not sure that this line is vertical, and then I'm not sure that the x-axis movement is the right thing. So I'm going to go cancel to this. I'll rather do it in a different way. I want to place my cursor on the side seam. I'm going to go right click and I'm going to go split. Now this part is active up here, the yellow, and it corresponds to this box here, and it says 5.98, but I'm going to write 7 because that's what I want. And I have now, instead of having one segment, I have 2 segments like this. This also means that the moment I delete this point up here, this will now be my new underarm sleeve hole point. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to get rid of, as I said, I like to draw a box. I'm going to get rid of these 3 points here. And now my top front part looks like this. I need to make a proper sleeve hole here. This is just like a total straight line now. So if I move up onto the edit pattern tool and you can see there's a tiny little square, no, sorry, tiny little triangle underneath. And if you just hold that down, you will have a drop down menu. And I want to use a tool called Edit Curvature, and it has the shortcut C. Edit Curvature makes a curve on a straight line, or changes the curve you have if you want. And I'm going to place my cursor like 1/3 of the way approximately from under the arm and up. Place the cursor, hold it down, and drag it in to make a sleeve hole. And I don't want to make it like a weird looking. I need to make sure I have a nice curve from under the arm and not go in too far up here. So I have a nice curve here. Because this is as deep as it is, I don't really need it to curve quite that much because we're far away from the arm, but I'll have a little curve anyway, a bit like a sports jersey, like that. Good. That is the front. We still need to address this what's going on here, because if I just copy this straight down now, I'm gonna have like a point tipping down here in the front, and it's not going to follow the 3-dimensional shape of the body, but I will tidy that up once I have done my back as well. I'm now going to do the back part, and again I want to move some darts and use some darts somewhere else. So I'm actually going to start out by eliminating this dart down here, backspace, and now I'm going to move some of this dart out into the sleeve hole just like I did on the front. I'm going to do that on the back. So I've got my edit pattern tool and I click on one dart leg and I hold the shift down, click on the other, right click, rotate dart, and place it here in the sleeve. And click on this one. This is the one I want. And then I want to move this part here. But again, just as before, I don't want to move it totally because I know that I want to open the dart. I don't know how much I want to close it, but I want to open the dart by 1.5 at the sleeve hole. And I write OK to that. And then I just need to indicate the length of the cursor leg, or the dart legs. Okay, so now we've got a tiny bit up here left, not much, but just a tiny bit. And if this top were a little bit closer fit, I would simply just remove this here and keep the extra length of the shoulder for a nice rounded shoulder. But as this is an oversized, we don't need it. So what we are going to do is going to move this little bit of dart. Going to move it down into the waist. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click on that one, and I want to rotate this side, and I want to close it totally, and just indicate the length of the. Now you can see it's tipped out on the front or on the back as well. And as you can see before, when I tidied up, a point. This one here actually is not totally straight when I have this little point. It almost looks straight, but it isn't. So I'm going to get rid of this and now get a totally straight shoulder. And just like before, I'm also going to get rid of the dot here. And again, I get this straight line. I'm going to tidy it up. Next thing I want to do is I want to extend my shoulder. Right click, change length, checking out that the actual direction is right. And then I'm going to write in here that I want it to be 1474. And just as we did before and lowered, we of course need to do exactly the same on the back. So I'm going to follow the same procedure as clicking on the segment so it's active. Right click. I'm going to write split. I'm going to move this so you can see that the line is yellow. And up here in the box, I'm going to write 7 and say yes to that. Okay. Now I'm going to get rid of this point like before, and I'm also going to get rid of the indication of a dart. And just like before, I'm ending up with a straight line. I go to the Edit Pattern tool, drop down, Edit Curvature, and like before, from the bottom and up, I go a little bit higher up than 1/3, but approximately 1/3 and a bit. Click and drag it in. And where before I had more of a curve just under the arm, I keep it a little bit more steep. It's the classic way of doing your pattern or your sleeve hole on your back, because this little extra fabric that will be here, if we don't lower it down too much, curve it too much, would help us stretching our arms out in front of us with the added fabric you would have here. It's not a huge problem because it's such a low sleeve hole, but it's just nice to know why we do things the way we do it. And then we try and keep a 90 degrees angle up here as well. Okay, good. Now what I need to do now is to make sure that my my two side lengths here are the same. This is 1242 and this is 1266. Okay, not the same length, so I need to change that. And also I would like to just with my transform pattern tool, I'll just move the sleeve for now. It's simply because I want to see also what this sleeve hole looks like. And to do that, I have this tool called Warp Pattern. I click on that, and then I click on the 2 points I want. This is just, think about it as what would you sew together. So I would definitely sew these two together, and then it lines up at the point. And then as I go down the line as it would be if I sewed it together, it gives me the result of what it would look like and what the sleeve hole would look like. It looks fine and smooth to me. It's a very long and elongated one because we lowered it 7 centimeters. But I can also see, however, down here that my front is a bit longer. So even if I haven't checked the sides like I did, I can see it when I Warp Pattern. Okay, and in order to finish that task, I just press enter. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click 1242 and I'm going to go here and I'm going to say right click, change length, and write 1242, but making sure also that I change the direction to the end so I don't suddenly add something to my seam or to my sleeve hole. Okay, like that. Now the sides just the same length.